Good evening, guys, and happy Monday to all of your sunshiny faces. So guys, I am getting ready to go take a shower and get to bed right now. We didn't get a whole ton of stuff done. My parents ended up going out for like breakfast or brunch or something like that, and they also had some like an errand that they had to go to this morning, so they didn't get back until like later mid-afternoon, early afternoon, maybe something like that. But so my dad did, though. He started working on, when we went to Menards yesterday, we bought new light switches and like face plates to replace, since we just got that, like all the kitchen and the laundry room painted. The ones in the laundry room were replaced. I think the ones in the kitchen were replaced when we did like the tile and repainted the cabinets and like all that kind of stuff. I think that we replaced most of them around that time, but the ones in the laundry room were also replaced not all that long ago. Like my dad did get new like the paddle switches, and he ended up getting those, like, again, not super recently, but like maybe within the last handful of years, like maybe 5 years or something like that. Honestly, it's probably, we replaced the ones in the kitchen 5 years ago, so it's probably been a little bit longer than that. But it's just so weird when I think about that. I was like, 2020 was 5 years ago already. Like, that is so weird. And then, you know, like now it's like, so when I think about that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's when we did the kitchen. I'm thinking like, oh, he replaced the ones in the you know, the laundry room, like, you know, maybe about 5 years ago. And I was like, no, because it was before the ones that were in the kitchen were replaced. So again, it was probably much longer ago than I'm actually thinking that it is. But we like have replaced, I think, almost all of the other like light switches and like face plates and like that kind of stuff, except for the ones in the living room. The living room ones have not been replaced in a very, very long time. So we're like, well, let's just do all of that. Even though we didn't paint in the living room, we were like, let's just replace all of the outlets and switches and like all that kind of stuff. But like I said, the outlets I think in the kitchen we're gonna leave because those are fine. Is the ones that are in the switches that we're gonna replace, because the thing is that, well, one, we were buying a 10-pack because it was cheaper anyway. Like, we had a lot that we had to replace, but we were gonna buy them anyway, so we were like, let's just buy the bulk and buy the 10-pack since it was cheaper. But we were also going to buy the we needed to get special like 3-pole switches, because it's like a relay, like the lights will turn on and turn off when you hit like the one light. So the way it works in our laundry room is like, if you're near the exterior door, there's a light switch there and you can control the lights, turn it on and off from that switch. And then if you say you come in from outside and you turn the light on, then you leave the laundry room, there's another switch that's near like the, you know, the door, the interior door, and you can turn that light switch on and off and control the light that way as well. So that if you're leaving, now you can turn the light off and not have to walk all the way across the room to turn it off and then turn it back on, you know? So it's very convenient. We also have one that's in the laundry room that controls the garage lights, and you can turn it on and off from there, but you can also turn them on and off from the garage. Well, we have a very similar situation that is going on in the kitchen. However, as long as we have lived here, my dad might have to rewire something, because I think that when we did try to do this in the living room, or I keep saying the living room, we tried to do this in the kitchen the first time, like again 5 years ago when we were replacing everything, I could have sworn that we had tried to wire this up and do it right with like the 3-pole switches instead of like a single pole switch. But when we had tried to do it, like it has never worked like it's supposed to. So like I said, where you can control the light from one singular switch, turn it on and turn it off, and whatever the other switch is, if it's in the on position, it doesn't matter. You can still turn this light off from the other switch. However, in the kitchen, when you turn the light on, both light switches have to be in the up position, and then you can turn one switch off and it will turn the light off. So it's been really weird. Like I said, I could have sworn that we tried to look into it like 5 years ago when we had replaced the switches originally. But I think that there was something wrong where, again, it was wired up like incorrectly, like when they wired it, not my dad, but like it's been this way since we moved into the house, where, like I said, you have to have both switches in the on position, and then you can turn it off, but you can only turn one off. If you turn one off, then they're both off, which again too, when you think about it as being like a circuit, it makes sense. And so that's why I was like, okay, I know that, like, you know, me and my dad were both like going over it. We were like, yeah, it makes sense that like it's not working like it's supposed to. So my dad wired up one switch, but he didn't do the other one, so that's why right now it's not currently working like it's supposed to. But if it is a problem with the actual wiring not being correct, then my dad would have to pull new wire instead of it just being like putting it on the switch and having it work correctly. To me, it seems like it's a wiring problem and not, you know, like they just put the wrong wire in the light, or, you know, they don't have a certain wire ran to it or whatever. But it makes sense because in our kitchen you can control the main overhead light from both the hallway or from like the living room side of the kitchen. So it's kind of convenient because, like, again too, if my parents were like watching something in the living room and they come out of the living room, they could turn the light on and off from that side. And then if I come out of my bedroom and I want to turn the light on, instead of having to walk all the way across the kitchen to go and turn it on, I can turn it on from the hallway and turn it on and off. So it's really nice that like you have a switch like that where you can control it from two different ends of the house. But again, with that kitchen light, the overhead light, it's never worked like it's supposed to. The laundry room one does, the one to the garage works properly, but for some reason the kitchen one does not work like it's supposed to. And it's weird because, like I said, you have to have both lights in the on position for it to be turned on, and then you can have one turned off. So it's kind of a pain because, like, for example, at night, if I'm going to bed but somebody was in the living room last and they turn the light off from the living room side, then I have to go walk across the entire kitchen in the dark to go turn the light on. And then I can turn it off now when I leave because I just need one to be turned off. So like I said, it's kind of a pain, but we're gonna work through it and try and figure it out. It's just my dad didn't have enough time today. He was like, oh, I'm gonna wire these up, and then I was like, okay, well, we're making brats for dinner because it's so nice out, guys. I actually have my window open a crack right now because it was really nice today. It was like in the 60s, like almost 65 degrees, so it was pretty nice out. Like I was in shorts and a sweatshirt today, but we were grilling for dinner tonight, so I just finished boiling the brats that we were gonna do on the grill. And in that amount of time, my dad got the one wired up, but then he was like, yeah, okay, this is more than it's gonna take me to finish right now. He needed to go and grill. So he didn't finish that, but he might work on it again tomorrow and just possibly get the easier ones, like the ones that are easy to wired up, like just the single, you know, switch ones. It's also really weird because there is in the living room, I don't know how exactly this can work, but in the living room, there is a light switch that we have that controls only one side of an outlet. So not like one side, but you know how like normally outlets have like two, you know, plugs, and it controls only the one on, I think, the right side and not the one on the left side. So the one on the left side is constantly on. The one on the right side you can turn on and off with the switch. So we would normally put a like standing like a, you know, like a floor lamp on that switch so that when we came home we could turn that switch on and have the light come on. Like if we came home at night and we didn't leave a light on in the house, then that way you could just flip that light on and then the floor lamp would come on. It's weird though because in the living room there's no light switch for the overhead light. You have to use the pull string, which is really weird. Like if it was me, I would want to have the overhead light on the switch and it'd just be easy to use so that you don't always have to go over there and pull the light switch to turn it on and off, or the overhead light to turn it on and off. But it's really weird that, like I said, the outlet though, because normally like the outlets would be wired up where it's just like constant power to both of them or constant power to neither of them. Like, you know, if you have it on a switch, then you could turn it on and off. So it'd either be on a switch or just have constant power. And for some reason, there's only one side of the outlet that has power if you turn the light switch on, and then you can turn it off and it won't have it anymore. So it's weird because the other outlet will still work even if you have the light switch on or off. So that's, like I said, that's weird. It's just, I don't know. I don't know who did the electric in our house. But I also think I told you guys too, like our house is not super old. I think it was built in late 50s. That was the consensus that we all came to. It says, I think we looked it up like on Zillow, I think it said 59, but my mom was like, no, it's earlier than that because our old house was a year, I think, older than this house. And that's why my mom was like, no, it was built in like 55, the old house, and this one was built in 56 or something like that. But we kind of, again, sometime in the late 60s. So, or the late 50s. So, we, you know, the house is a little bit older, but we have, you know, like, again, we've done a lot of stuff and rewired things. There's one fuse, though, in our laundry room that powers something, and we have no clue what it is. When we take it out, it turns off nothing. We've tested every outlet, every light, every switch, everything in the house, and we cannot figure out what it controls. Except for it may possibly control the light in the crawl space, or there is a fan that currently does not work in the attic, like the exhaust fan kind of thing. It's just like a heat fan. Like if it's hot in the attic, it'll just vent the air out, and it does it anyway, but it has a fan on it, so you can turn it on. It just doesn't work. Like I think that it's blown or something like that, but not the fuse. The fuse isn't blown, so it may also control that, and we just don't know. So there's only two things possible. Every other, me and my dad took it out and tested every single light switch and every single outlet in the entire house, and it didn't control anything other than those possible two things. So there's still some mystery to our house that we don't entirely know, but we've lived here for like 25 years almost. So there's, you know, like a little less mystery, but we've lived here for a long time and still don't know everything. And even too, like I said, the kitchen lights has always worked that way, and it's not supposed to. So we're gonna try and get to the bottom of it and fix it the way it's supposed to work. But anyways, that's what we worked on a little bit today. I am going to take a shower now though and get to bed, but I will see you guys in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love it if you'd subscribe.